What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. Aurelion Sol is set up for release sometime next week at the time of me making this video, and he's definitely shown himself to be one of the cooler champions League of Legends has to offer in terms of their character. And as he comes out, we're likely going to see him being played a lot in the mid lane and in the jungle, but there's a lot more to Aurelion than just having good ganks. Just before we start, here are some of my favorite comments where I asked what character you guys wish would be added into League of Legends as a champion. Today, I want to know, who's your favorite dragon? And if you enjoy the video, hit that like button, and if you don't, please hit the dislike. Anyways, let's get started. For our first thing, we're going to be taking a look at the concepts for Aurelion Sol's character design. Sure, most of you probably know that he was heavily influenced by Aurelion, but his design had a bit more to it. When starting with Aurelion's concepts, the designer specifically set out to make his personality distinctive from other dragons in popular culture, such as Smaug from the Hobbit trilogy, and Paarthurnax from Skyrim. The primary inspiration for Aurelion Sol's personality is the Great Owl from The Secret of Nim. Another major inspiration too for Aurelion Sol was actually David Bowie. Aurelion Sol is intended to appear effortless, marvelous, and beautiful, that everything he creates is inspired. He has a big element of like this rock star arrogance almost, and a lot of that personality was a spin from David Bowie. Next up, let's take a look at some of his gameplay during his development. When he was still Aurelion, he had an ability that was kind of like a global resonating strike, where Aurelion would send out a storm cloud in a target direction that marked all enemies hit by it, with the ability to reactivate it to dash onto the target as a massive bolt of lightning. Riot is actually quoted for saying that that specific ability showed enough promise that it might be resurrected at some point in the future. He also at one point had a really elongated body, which Riot described as 10 to 12 Teemos or so in length. With this champion model, players naturally wanted to snake and coil around your opponents and stuff like that, and although it was interesting gameplay, it ultimately meant that the champion either had to be fast enough to overtake his opponents, or durable enough to survive trying, and was found to just be weak and unsatisfying to play. There were also a lot of technical issues with that type of model, especially when he was stuck in bushes and figuring out how he would interact with the fog of war and stuff like that. At number 3, we're looking a little bit at Aurelion Sol's eventual gameplay design, the one that's being shipped to the live client. Although Riot wanted Aurelion to be a character with a unique story and personality, his gameplay kit is actually far from it and takes a lot of design inspiration from other sources. His finalized kit in-game is very similar to that of Calamity from Heroes of Newerth and Io the Wisp from Dota 2, both which were released more than a year ago. Calamity had the 3 stars circling kind of thing going on, but instead of stars they were dragons circling her, while Io the Wisp had a similar ability that summoned spheres of energy around it. I don't think that's a bad thing though. I mean, both Calamity and Io have awesome kits, and it's not uncommon for MOBA games to take inspirations or designs from champions in other games of the same genre. As long as it's not a direct copy, which with Aurelion Sol specifically, it certainly isn't. And to be honest, developers do this kind of thing pretty often since it makes developing a lot easier, and at this point it's kind of something that every game does to some extent, so you can't really blame Riot for hopping on the train a little bit more. At number 4, we're taking a look at the voice actor. Aurelion Sol is voiced by Neil Kaplan. I've always thought voice actors were a super underrated part of a champion since they really just add so much to the character to help bring it to life. Neil Kaplan also voiced characters like Tychus in StarCraft 2, as well as various characters from BioShock Infinite, The Last of Us, and Star Wars: The Old Republic. He's an awesome voice actor, and I think he did a fantastic job with Aurelion Sol's voice lines. And speaking of voice lines, for number 5, we're going to dive into that realm a little bit more. Aurelion Sol's voiceover is awesome, and he has a lot of really unique interactions and quotes that take place in his kit. Some of my personal favorites involve lines from when he attacks Dragon.
I did mean to call you back, but stars needed forging.
A voice line on entering the enemy base.
May I enter? Just joking. Star dragons don't need permission.
A line upon taunting any champion with a Dragon Slayer skin.
You're out of your league.
A line when killing an enemy champion with a star.
Starstruck.
And my personal favorite, a voice line when he gets a pentakill.
Well, that was easy.
For number 6, let's take a look at some of Aurelion Sol's lore. Aurelion's soul once graced the vast emptiness of the cosmos with celestial wonders of his own devising. Now he's forced to wield his awesome power at the behest of a spacefaring empire that tricked him into servitude. Desiring a return to his star-forging ways, Aurelion's soul will drag the very stars from the sky if he must, in order to regain his freedom. And that's it for his lore summary, but one of the things that I actually think is the coolest is that Aurelion's soul is a cosmic being, capable of creating and destroying stars with just a flick of his fingers, which makes him one of the most powerful beings in the entire League of Legends universe. But despite his immense power, Aurelion's soul points out himself that his kind is not immortal. And Aurelion is personally enslaved to the will of Mount Targon, who have figuratively clipped his wings. Aurelion holds Targonians, especially Pantheon, with a lot of contempt as a result. And at number 7, let's talk some of the more interesting gameplay mechanics that Aurelion brings to the table. First off, Aurelion's soul's Star Surge has the longest potential range of any non-ultimate ability in the entire game, being able to go from one end of the map to another, making it pretty much global, as long as Aurelion's soul is able to stay in range of it, essentially giving this ability infinite range and the potential to make an absolutely massive Star Surge. His Star Surge has a missile speed of somewhere around 600-650 or so, which means that you can make it global with only around 475-500 movement speed or so, since he gets a small boost in movement speed from his E and from his Q actually too when standing next to a star. Which really isn't that hard to get at all. You don't have to go some crazy item build, just boots of speed and a Luden's Echo maybe, and you're pretty much there already with the passive buffs that Aurelion's kit will give you. As well, another thing to note, especially when playing against Aurelion's soul, is that his tail is not actually part of his in-game hitbox at all. And to visually indicate that, Riot made the lower part of his body semi-transparent, but it's still pretty visible, so make sure you aren't aiming at that portion of him with your skill shots. And lastly, it's important to know you can see Aurelion's soul's passive circling around him even if he's in a bush, as long as you have vision on the outside area, and you don't need vision of him in the bush at all. So unfortunately for us Aurelion's soul players, camping inside of a bush isn't exactly a good idea, or at the very least, be careful not to show your passive outside of the bush that you're in. All in all, Aurelion's soul is an awesome character, and I mean, how can you not think the guy's cool? He's like this huge ass dragon. How awesome is that? I had a lot of fun playing him on the PBE, and I'm really looking forward to his eventual release. So, here's to the future. And that's just about it. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.